Welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news, updates, debates, and my opinion. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. We smashed 3,100 subscribers yesterday. We're now on to 3,200 subscribers. The growth has been unbelievable. Smash a like on the video as well if you enjoy it. Now, as of recording this, it's Tuesday. It's yesterday for you. I've got a funeral today that I've got to travel for, so I can't make a new video on whatever updates have come out. So as it stands for me, Arsenal have made a second bid for Declan Rice. It was 75 million up front plus 15 in potential add-ons. It was swiftly rejected by West Ham. And there's a bit of, panic in the Arsenal fan base. I am not worried. The reason being, the second bid, whilst the total sum of money wasn't much better, the structure was a lot better. And that was one thing with the first bid that West Ham didn't like, was the structure. The payments were over too long a time. The structure of this one is believed to be a lot better, and I think we are close to getting this done. I think in the end it will probably be 80 plus 20 or 85 plus 15, creating a £100 million package in total, but I am still very confident that it's going to get done. Now, I wanted to talk about formations. Obviously, we spoke yesterday, Havertz, Timber, Lavia and Rice. If we get those 4 deals done, there's no guarantee that we do, but if we get those 4 deals done, where does it leave us in terms of depth and all of the positions that we're covered? And I've been running through all of the different, various positions that each of those players can play and the different dynamics and formations that we can set up with. And the depth that we are going to have is incredible. Now, I haven't factored in players leaving. So one big player that I think could leave, that I haven't factored in leaving because we just don't know, is Thomas Partey. We know that Saudi Arabia are interested in him and they're going to be allowed to talk to him. So Partey may or may not be here next season, and of course a lot of this is speculation, but it's very interesting and it's very exciting. So if you look at the defence, right, if you assume that we set up the same way we set up for the majority of last season, with Zinchenko as the inverting left-back, you've got Ben White, Tomiyasu, Timber that can all play at right-back. At right centre-back, you've got Saliba, White, Tomiyasu and Timber. You've got 4 players that can play right centre-back. Left centre-back, you've got Gabriel, Kivior as the natural left-footed left centre-backs, but also any of the other centre-backs can do a job there, including Tomiyasu, who plays there for Japan. So you've got multiple options there. And at left-back, you've got Zinchenko, you've got Kivior, you've got Kieran Tierney, and you've got Tomiyasu. So across the back line, we are covered to nearly 4 men deep in every position. That is exceptional depth. And you would really have to have 3 of those players injured at one time for you to have to start really worrying. Then you factor in that if you've got Lavia and Thomas Partey still, both of them can play as an inverting right back, which gives you even further depth if it really gets desperate. So the depth we're going to have across the back line is going to be unbelievable. You then move into the midfield, and this, for me, explains why I still personally think that Declan Rice is being purchased as an 8 and not a 6. Because as the 6, you've got Thomas Partey, Jurrien and Romeo Lavia, who are all good enough to play as the 6 and proven good enough to play as the 6. Whereas as the 8, as the Granit Xhaka role, assuming obviously that Granit Xhaka does leave, you've only really got Havertz and Emil Smith-Rowe. So you've either got Rice, Lavia, Partey and Jurrien as the 6s, with Havertz and Smith-Rowe as the potential 8s, and it's not confirmed that either Smith-Rowe or Havertz are actually going to be the 8s, or you've got Partey, Lavia, Jurrien as the 6s, you've then got Rice, Havertz and Emil Smith-Rowe as the 8s. And I think that makes a lot more sense for me. And a midfield sat behind or next to Odegaard of Rice and Partey, or Rice and Lavia, or Rice and Jurrien, for me, is better than Rice in the 6 and Havertz or Smith-Rowe as the 8. I just think that either of the other options with Rice as the 8 are stronger. However, again, what I've just given you is the level of depth, again, that we're going to have in that midfield, where you've got Lavia, you've got Jurrien, you've got Partey and potentially Rice that can all play as the 6. You've got Havertz, you've got Smith-Rowe, you've got Rice that can all play as the 8. Of course, Odegaard can move sides. Then you can bring in Fabio Vieira, who I do think is going to have a better season next season. So again, we've got a load of depth there. Then you move into the attack. Down the middle, you have potentially got Balogun, Jesus, Nketiah, Trossard, Havertz. You've got 5 players that can play as centre forwards. Now, I'm certain that one of Nketiah and Balogun leaves, but I'm certain that one of them stays. Hopefully Balogun. If we assume it's Balogun, as your centre forward option, you've got Jesus, who for me would be the first choice. You've got Havertz, you've got Trossard, who can do it, and you've got Balogun, who's more of an out-and-out striker. Off the left-hand side, you've got Martinelli, you've got Trossard, you've got Reece Nelson, you've got potentially Kai Havertz, who it's rumoured could play off either side. And off the right-hand side, you've got Saka, you've got Trossard, who I don't really like there, you've got Reece Nelson, and again, you've got Kai Havertz, who can potentially play there. So we are 4 men deep in pretty much every position, arguably other than the 8 in the Granit Xhaka role. We're 4 men deep. And that is unbelievable depth that we have not had at the club before. Then you throw in the fact that we could bring in Gundogan on a free, who would obviously be further depth in the Granit Xhaka role. That's why I think that is still an option, because if you were to argue that there was one particular space that we maybe don't have great strength in depth, it would be the Granit Xhaka role. So bring in Gundogan, you've got that covered. And then potentially another right winger. That is, Moussa Diaby is still on the agenda, or is being talked about. So then you've got an incredibly good and more accurate profile to back up Bukayo Saka. So all in all, what we have, if we bring in those 4, 5 if you include Gundogan players, is an obscene level of depth that we have not had at the club in a long, in my lifetime, truthfully, and probably ever. And so it's incredibly exciting to think about what we could do if we get these done. And then you start looking at different formations that we could play. If you look at the formation that we played in the final couple of games against Wolves and Nottingham Forest, obviously it didn't go well against Nottingham Forest, but against Wolves as an example, within that team, you could then have Ramsdale in goal, Timber as the right back, inverting in the way that Thomas Partey did, and I think Timber is a better option than Partey to do that role because of how much better he is defensively. You've then got Saliba, Gabriel, maybe Kivior as your left back again, who I did think was good in that role. Moving into the midfield, you can play with Rice and Havertz because you're going to have more freedom, I think, if you're playing with that really solid back four with Timber as the right back inverting. I think you can then have a more attacking midfield with Rice and Havertz, Ødegaard, and of course the normal front three. There's just an abundance of options. And like I said, it gives time for those players to settle in because ultimately we could very comfortably start next season with our strongest lineup from this season, only Rice in for Granit Xhaka. And that gives Havertz, Lavia, Timber all time to settle in, which is really what you want. You don't want all 4 of them starting the first game of the season. And they won't do. So I know this is quite a long-winded way of saying it, but it just gives you an idea of just the abundance of flexibility that we are going to have next season if we get these done. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back tomorrow as normal with updates. I'm sure there are going to be a bunch of updates that I've got to cover, so subscribe for that. And yeah, have a great day, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Cheers.